Zawcasters. I definitely didn't fuck up this intro. Alright, anyways, welcome back to more Zawcasters. Obviously, the main guy in charge here is Johnza. Welcome. And, no interesting news story, like, small little ones before we get into the main topic of today's video, which, once again, all you guys know, but not me, as of recording this. But I will say, so far this week of work, I mean, it's only been the first 2 days. They've been pretty quiet, actually. I've literally only had, like, 2 orders, like, right in the morning, like, both yesterday and today. And, like, just a bit of an order, like, pretty much at the end of the day today, too. So it's been pretty quiet so far this week. I don't know if it's going to keep up this quietness throughout the entire week, but, I mean, it would be nice. Because basically, like, whenever I don't really have any work to do, I either have my Switch or DS, and I just kind of play some games while I'm at work. And one of them I've been doing lately is, it's Pokemon Diamond. I've been mostly trying to train out my Pokemon up to a certain level, and then, like, just so I can use them in Pokemon Battle Revolution, which, well, I mean, we might actually get a chance to talk about that today, actually. You know what? I'm going to make the executive decision. It's still on the wheel. I haven't really technically spun the wheel, but you know what? Since I kind of mentioned Battle Revolution, and it's also in the thing here, I'm gonna say we're gonna do the Pokemon Stadium plus Battle Revolution episode today. So no spin the wheel needed. Because most of the time I just don't know which one I even want to talk about or whatever. So I normally just make the wheel twist it up. But just because I was kind of mentioning already with Pokemon, or like Pokemon Battle Revolution, I just thought, might as well talk about it anyways. It makes sense. But yeah, but mostly because, well, I mean, I guess I'll get to. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. Anyways, I guess we'll talk about Stadium first and then Battle Revolution, since both Stadium games came before Battle Revolution. So basically, Pokemon Stadium. They are old Nintendo N64 games, which I have at least the first one. I don't have the second one, but apparently the second one is more superior, as I've heard, I believe. But yeah, basically, Pokemon Stadium, you kind of go through during certain like stadium matches, pretty much. There's like a few different cups to win. I can't remember all the certain cups. There's like a main, like, regular normal cup where you have access to every single Pokemon for that. There's like a Juniors Cup, which I think you can only use like Pokemon that haven't evolved or are like small. There's another cup which is, I think, more for mid stages, but you can also use like small evolutions. And then there's one which is supposed to be like, I guess, up to level 100s, and you can use any of the rental Pokemon in there. And I say rental Pokemon because in these games, you can technically transfer Pokemon from your save data. Like in Pokemon Stadium, you can transfer Pokemon from your original Blue and Red games into Pokemon Stadium, which I never actually really got the chance because I never played the original Pokemon Red and Blue. I never did. But I did have the N64. Well, to be fair, I also got the N64 like probably later when it's pretty much been out of date. Like I got the GameCube before I got the N64 apparently. I guess that is another kind of funny story as well, because I think it was like a few years ago I still believed that I got the N64 before GameCube because, well, by the time I had both I was like small. I was so a small little child. But, like, I always thought I had the N64, like, longer, and I even presented it for, like, school, actually, that it was, like, my very first console. I think it was something for college, too, that I kind of brought my N64 and, like, said it was, like, one of my oldest consoles, I guess. Like, I think we had to bring something that, like, was memorable or something. I can't remember the assignment, but, yeah. So I felt, definitely now I feel like I've lied to everyone, kind of. I mean, at the moment I wasn't lying, but, like, that's what I just believed at the time, that I had the N64 before the GameCube, which was not true apparently. And I guess I mentioned it to my mom that like my oldest console is the N64, but she mentioned that I had the GameCube first, and I was like, oh well, I guess I'm wrong. And I would have to believe her because, well, for one, when I got both consoles, I was a small child, so obviously I wouldn't remember exactly what happened back then. And yeah, especially since like obviously she was an adult, she would be able to easily remember things that around that time. So yeah, but yeah. Anyways, I mean, alongside it's actually kind of funny. I was talking about DK64 last episode, how it's an N64 game, and now I'm talking about another N64 game. Which, yeah, the other one I pretty much had as a kid was Mario Party 3, so, the whole collection. And funny enough, not 1 and 2, I haven't had Smash Bros. Like N64. Funny enough for GameCube, too, I never got Melee. In fact, the first time I even heard of Smash Bros. Was, like, during the Wii era. And now I'm just getting off topic. um, anyways, but, yeah, you kind of go through these certain, I guess, stadium matches to win cups and everything, which I think for like the other two where I said there's like the pre-vols and the mid-stage cups, like I don't remember the actual cup names, but I think you only have to complete those once. And then there's like 4 different stages in the regular stadium and I guess the more powerful stadium, I guess I'll call it. Which there's like 4 ranks, which you get a cup for each of them, which the first stage is obviously the Pokeball stage, which is the easiest, and then it gets obviously harder, which moves on to the Great Ball, the Ultra Ball Cup, and then the Master Ball Cup. So, there's that. There's also free battling, so you can just kind of battle against your friends or whatever. So yeah, that's one. Which you can technically play with 4 players, and you might be thinking, oh cool, that means you can do double battles, right? Wrong! Double battles weren't introduced until, like, I'm pretty sure Gen 3, so pretty much what you did is that I think everyone was able to select, like, 6 Pokemon, like, even for, like, the 4, but, like, 2 people have to team up and then select their 3 Pokemon to send out, and then that's how you battle. So it's kind of like a 2v2, but obviously one of you battles at a time, pretty much, and you only use half of the Pokemon you've chosen. So, yeah. There's also another kind of minigame, there a multiplayer aspect, which is minigames, which I was about to say, which I know in Stadium there's like 9 minigames. There's like a Magikarp Leapin' one. I don't remember all the names. I haven't played Stadium in a while. There's a Rattata Race one. There's Clefairy School, where you have to do like a memory thing. There's like a Hypnotic Drowsy section, which you have to try to stay awake, I guess. In-game and IRL. I can't fucking speak. And then there's like an electric one with Pikachu and Voltorb, where I guess you have to build up more electricity, I think. What was the one after that? There was like a Lickitung one where Lickitung has to eat like a bunch of foods and spend the most money, I guess. There's the Ekans Ring Toss. That one is kind of explanatory of what it is. There's the Kakuna Metapod Harden minigame, which pretty much rocks get thrown towards you. You have to harden, like, right at that certain moment before it hits you. And then there's a Sandshrew Dig one, which you just kind of have to dig and make it to the, I guess, the geyser, I want to say, because then technically when you win, you get shot up with water, so yeah. But those are the certain mini games. You can just kind of like play free play, so like, just play randomly, or you can play up to like ranks, kind of, I guess. Basically, it's like a little competition where you can kind of set the bar of how many wins someone can win, which I'm pretty sure it's like 3 to 9, and you basically, so like, it's just until that one person gets to that win goal is how they win, pretty much. Which is also interesting how they let you select. So obviously the first round, it's just completely random. but then after someone wins, it randomly picks between the other three that haven't won, and then they pick. And basically, whoever has the least amount of points in total, they're the ones that always get to pick, pretty much. And obviously, if they're tied in the lowest points, it gets picked between, them, pretty much. So, fun little detail. Um, and the only other one the only other mode I can really think of in the main one is what do I want to say? Is the gym challenges where you can actually it's almost like how you do with the stadium matches, which when you battle in the stadiums, there's like different segments. I think. Yeah, there's certain segments where you have to go through like four trainers and actually complete that certain segment and then move on to the next one. I believe. Is it? Oh no, I think for the stadiums you fight eight, and yeah, for the gym battles, you have to fight like three gym trainers and then the gym leader, pretty much. So that's pretty much how it is. And you also go all the way up to the Elite Four and everything, and fight Blue, pretty much. So yeah, and basically for these kind of battles too, there's like pretty much if you lose, like if you lose like maybe like just one of the battles, you just have to restart that entire like section pretty much. So like I guess I was talking about like the Pokeball Cup. Like, say you're like 5 matches in and you lose the fifth one, you have to restart all the way from there, like all the way to the beginning. And then same with the gyms, you just kind of start with the first trainer again. But you can technically actually save your moment before like you can actually like make it so you have another chance to fight that trainer right away too, because I guess a little bit of a reward if you complete or if you beat a trainer without losing any of your Pokemon, you get a continue. And if you lose like the next battle afterwards, then you can use that continue and rebattle that same trainer you just fought, so you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. So it is nice to like try to not have your Pokemon faint, so you can actually have some safe policies. But yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to get. I'm pretty sure it's with all the like with both stadiums and Battle Revolution. So yeah, like with certain battles and all that. I think that's all for Pokemon Stadium. Stadium 2, it's basically the same game, but it adds the Gen 2 Mons, pretty much. That's pretty much all it is. Obviously, there's a few things that are different, but I'm not 100% sure because, like, I don't really know too much about Pokemon Stadium 2 because that was the one I've never actually played or even really looked into. So, can't really say too much for them. Now, I will say, for the rental Pokemon that they all have, like, for rentals, they give you all the Pokemon in that gen, so you can actually use some of the Pokemon, which some of them might be bad, because obviously it also picks, like, certain move sets for them, too, so, and, uh, depending on what mode you're using too, either it's like free battle, stadium, gym, or even like the different types of stadiums you do, the Pokemon might know different moves than what you saw beforehand. So, like, say in one stadium, a Charmander knew like Flamethrower, Dig, Scratch, and Dragon Rage. The next time it could learn like Flamethrower, Dig, Fire Fang, and Tail Whip. Like it would be like a little bit different. Sometimes like maybe completely different, but yeah, that's why you always have to look at the stats too. Which yeah, unlike when you actually bring your other Pokemon in, you can actually like use them. Well, obviously with requirements too, since obviously like with some of the level things, you might want to get some of your Pokemon up to level 50 or even 100 at some. And obviously there's some where you can't like over level too much, so yeah, that's another thing. Obviously if you bring your own Pokemon in, I never really had too much of a problem with that because, well, like I said before, I never owned the original Red and Blue or Yellow, so I could not send over old Pokemon. So yeah, I think that was the one thing people also complained about a little bit once Stadium 1 got ported over to the Switch on the Nintendo Online services. that you couldn't because I'm pretty sure you can play the original Red and Blue as well on the Switch. I'm pretty sure. So I guess they couldn't. Like, I guess they're upset they can't really transfer their Pokemon into that stadium, which, to be fair, it makes sense because I'm pretty sure you have to have both games on to actually transfer them over. So yeah. Or even like I think since I don't think it was really much like with connections back in the day, like with the Game Boy Advances and N64, I think you would have to actually like plug them in together. So yeah, unlike with future games where you can actually kind of connect and do it like wirelessly, it did that again. My iPad just kind of popped up the keyboard and said, "Oh, sign in to iTunes" or something. It's like, bitch. I'm trying to do something here, and you're in the middle. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, with Stadium 2, I'm pretty sure you just also go with like any of the rental Pokemon, like all the Pokemon from Gen 1 and 2 are pretty much in that. Funny enough, I don't know if this is actually true, but like, well, I mean, I know for Stadium 1 that the only two Pokemon from Gen 1 that aren't in Stadium 1 for rentals is Mewtwo and Mew. The only chance you actually have to get to play them in the game is to transfer them over, so that's the one thing. Other than that, the other 149 Pokemon are you can use pretty much. So yeah. I don't know if you can actually use Mew and Mewtwo in Stadium 2 as rental Pokemon. Like I said, I never really played Stadium 2, but you never know. And then we move on from Battle Revolution. There are some other like kind of spin-off games, which I don't know if they're really much of stadium-based games. Like there's stuff like Coliseum and everything, but I'm probably not going to get into that since I haven't really looked too much into those. So basically, Battle Revolution is practically the next stadium game, which kind of takes a different turn a little bit. And especially with the rental ones, that's the one that I was kind of disappointed on when I first got the game. Which, the thing is, when I first saw the game, I was like, I want this game. I want it for free. But obviously around that time as well, that was when the Wii era was pretty much done and I couldn't find it anymore. But when I was in college, I actually saw that, well, because once in a while there's like a few like sell stuff. Like sometimes they like sell, like sometimes they have like a little section where they sell like games, like treats, or even like posters. Like I'm pretty sure like two of my posters in my room right now. I have a Smash Bros. Ultimate poster and a Pokemon one which has Pikachu and all the evolutions in it. And I bought those in that little poster. I don't know if I should call it shop, but like, you know, it's like a little poster event, I guess. So yeah. But anyways, when the game one came, because basically they kind of just sold retro games. So basically they had like DS games, they had Wii games, GameCube games, N64 games, like a bunch of old games. Like there's still like some shops out there that you can like buy older like game stuff that isn't really like in your local GameStop anymore. So, you know. But yeah, they were at the college one day and I saw that Pokemon Battle Revolution was in there. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this game. Which I think at the time, I think I had to wait the next time they showed up because I don't think I had the cash on me. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure they only accepted cash at the counter. So yeah, I couldn't use my debit card. So yeah, and then obviously once I booted it up and everything, I figured out the rental Pokemon situation, which I don't know if I actually knew it beforehand, but like, yeah, apparently, yeah, no, I don't think I knew beforehand. But basically, what I saw is that you only get 2 rental passes, which basically you get like these like cards, I guess, and you can pretty much set up your team, and then you just have them saved there for whenever you want to like battle or something. And the 2 rental teams, they're auto-picked for you, and you cannot switch them with any other Pokemon that can be played in the game. So unless you actually have one of the other like the Pokemon DS games like Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, or even Soul Silver or Heart Gold, like you won't be able to play or use some certain Pokemon in the game, which kind of sucks in my opinion. Like that's probably like my one like dislike about the game, which is why I was mentioning how I wanted to train up some of the Pokemon uh, in my Pokemon Diamond game and transfer them over so I can actually use them in Pokemon Battle Revolution. But yeah, that was definitely like the one problem and issue I had with the game. Unlike how Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 where you could just use any rental Pokemon. There's only a few certain limited Pokemon you can use, and most of them are pretty much all mid stages. Like you start off with 2, and I think you can actually get a few more rental passes after doing some specific stuff, or like I guess some certain like challenge or like I guess levels. I don't know what to call them. It's kind of like the battle format of you have to fight all the trainers in that certain section in order to win it. And I think if you do those with some of the rental Pokemon, you can actually win more rental or more rental passes, so you can use other Pokemon. Which obviously that sounds boring. So yeah, basically I've been mostly like whenever I found the time or whatever, and which I've used for work pretty much. I pretty much just kind of train up my Pokemon, specifically at least for level 64, and then I pretty much like when I can update my game to uh, use those Pokemon. Then, like I'm pretty sure right now I have over. I know it's over 2 boxes at least. I think it's just over 2 boxes at this point, where all those Pokemon are up to level 64 at the time. I think I only have a few Pokemon that are higher than 64, which I think I have a Palkia and Dialga, which are level 70 that I got from Platinum. And then I got a Giratina in Diamond that is, I think was already like level 80 when I caught it, and Mewtwo in Soul Silver, which I also caught level 80, which obviously I can't decrease their levels, so if anything, I just kind of continued leveling up my Mewtwo and Giratina, and they're the ones that kind of help level up the rest of the Pokemon. And pretty much what I do, I just kind of go into Diamond and refight the Elite Four like multiple times, pretty much. So basically, a good, quick, easy way for me to do it too. Like, obviously, you need the EXP share for this, but basically, you equip the EXP share, which, if you guys don't know, in older games, you can equip an EXP share on a Pokemon, and it just levels up that one Pokemon. They can only gives experience to that one specific Pokemon, not every single Pokemon in your party. In case some of you newbies know, or in case some of you newbies are watching and you don't know much about regular Diamond and Pearl, yeah. Kind of blank space. But yeah, basically what I would do, I would just kind of do the switch train, but like, because the thing is, like, they still don't get that much EXP once they, like, gain it from the other Pokemon just doing the battling. So normally what I do, I have the Pokemon with the EXP share out in front first, and then I swap them in with either Mewtwo or Giratina, and then they get, like, tons of EXP. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, probably like the smallest amount of EXP I've gotten from one of the Pokemon in the Elite Four, just by doing that method, is probably just under 2,000 experience, which is actually quite a lot. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, even, like, around level 30s, I think it takes, like, within, like, 3 Pokemon in order just to level up once. So, you can definitely tell it's definitely a good strategy and everything, so, you know. And then, of course, when the Pokemon is at least ready to take on some other certain Pokemon in the league, you can actually, like, use them for fighting, too. Since, like, it kind of goes, like, I think, like, the levels, of the Pokemon in Diamond are, like, they're, like, I'm pretty sure the smallest is, like, at 53, and then the highest is 66, being Cynthia's Garchomp. But, yeah. So, as long as you're, like, kind of within that range, then I'm pretty sure you can try to use some of your other Pokemon or that certain Pokemon that you're trying to train up and help them level up still by using them in battle, because technically if you don't switch them out, they get even more EXP. But obviously you want them to actually survive and get the XP, so normally you would want to switch them out in case they don't have a good matchup. But yeah, I've been mostly working with that. But yeah, Pokemon Battle Revolution does work a bit differently. It does, like, you can access and play any of the Pokemon from Gens 1 to 4, which obviously the limitations that you have to bring in your own Pokemon, which kind of sucks. Especially for me, for someone who doesn't have an action replay and has to physically train these Pokemon, and I can't even bring in every Pokemon in the game either. Because here's the thing, the games I have for Gen 4, not count Battle Revolution, I have Diamond, Platinum, and Soul Silver. So I'm only limited to a certain amount of Pokemon. Luckily, I found a way to get all the starters from all the generations, so I already have all of them. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're all at level 64 at this point, at their final form, so that's something. But yeah, like, I think for like the Johto and Kanto starters, I think you almost have to be like every gym in Soul Silver just to get them. And when I mean like every gym, I mean every gym. Because in that game, you have the Johto gyms to take care of, but then after you take on the Elite Four, in that, you can go to Kanto, and then you have to do all the Kanto gyms, and then you can go like grab one of the starters from both Kanto and Hoenn. So you practically have to play through almost the entire like game and post game of Soul Silver like 3 times to get all those starters, which luckily I did quite a bit of years ago, which, yeah. I know years ago, and I'm still working on leveling up some Pokemon. I mean, it's been going a lot more quicker since I've been kind of playing it at work, pretty much. Which, like I said, normally if I don't have any work to do, I just go and grab my systems and play on them. I think before I was more focusing on Miitopia because I wanted to finish off my main series and like get everybody up to level 50. And obviously in this case it's a bit harder to level up Pokemon in the old Pokemon games, so yeah, a bit rough, but I'm managing. In fact, actually right now I'm kind of working on 6 Tauroses. I thought it'd be kind of a funny combination, just because with Ash having like 30 Tauroses, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to have like a certain amount of Tauroses. I was thinking 30, but like, eh. I think one of the main problems with that, or having like 30, even in Battle Revolution, it's like, you can only really carry 6, so like, what's the point of having 30 if you don't even use all of them? Especially if most of them are just going to have the same movesets, so... like, yeah, that's why at least 6 is at least better, because at least you could just have a whole team of Tauroses. So, yeah, plus then you don't have to train as much. But, yeah. 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 Yeah, 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 yeah. My mind is drawn to blank and I don't know what else to say. Don't you love the mind blanks? Yeah, but basically just a lot of training and work comes through. I do have like another section as well, like if I don't have too much time to go through the Pokemon League again, there is like a certain spot, like I'm pretty sure it's just above the resort area. And I just kind of train there a little bit too, pretty much, which obviously, like, so at least some of the weaker Pokemon, you can kind of train there too still, like even just below, like, I think just around, like, 50, I'm pretty sure you can start using the Pokemon in that area, especially if they're, like, have moves that are super effective. So, yeah, that'll work, but that's why I mostly have work for that. Plus, I never really have the inspiration to just do it at home. So, yeah. The one thing I kind of have to do, because I kind of already reset in my Platinum game, is that I need to kind of get it that all the way over to the post game so I can use the move tutors, because that's the one thing that's better, that Platinum has better than Diamond, is that you can learn not TMs, sorry, tutor moves, which some of them like for some specific Pokemon you can train, I guess. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. And I like how I just kind of went off Pokemon Battle Revolution. I gotta start talking about Battle Revolution a bit more. So yeah, basically there's these certain sections which at the end you have to fight these, I guess, bosses, which are pretty much trainers in different like. I think most of them are just in like different Pokemon outfits. Like I'm pretty sure the first one you fight is like it's like a small female child with like a Pachirisu suit on. So there's that. I think one's like a boy Groudon outfit. But yeah, with there's another thing with like most of these battles too. Like they have like some certain like different challenges, I guess, for some of them. Like eventually, like some of the later battles, you do double battles instead of singles. Which yes, in that game they added double battles, so you can use two Pokemon at once. Um, but yeah, there's like some specific ones where there's literally one where you have to only use rental Pokemon. Um, there's that. You have to. There's like a wheel. There's like a random wheel where it puts your team and an opponent's team together, and you kind of just hit or like try to hit the dartboard like to select what Pokemon you're gonna get. So you can get your opponents or yourselves or your own Pokemon. Which, if your opponent gets your Pokemon, not good. Especially if you have to like especially if you go in with your actual transferred Pokemon because you set them up to be strong. Now you must pay the price. I swear, the first time I went through that, I was losing my mind because I kept getting owned by my own Pokemon, which I literally had to change it up and like find some Pokemon in my game that were like low level, didn't have great moves or nothing. So then I could at least use them against the opponent and boom. Like then they won't have a strong Pokemon. But yeah, there was that. Um, let's see. I think there was like a type of like grid, I guess, which I guess like in those cases you could technically lose a match and still be fine, but like I guess you'd want to win like the most matches, I guess, in total. Um, Against like every single like one of the other combatants, pretty much. So there's that. I was thinking of another one. I think there might have been more of like a performance kind of one, like how well you did or something. In general, I know there's one where like you and your opponent have like the same amount of Pokemon. Like I think it's just rental Pokemon, but like they're not even from the passes either. They're just like random Pokemon you use. Like pretty much like almost the same teams going up against each other with the same moves, and you just that one's a little difficult too because you're pretty much just finding the same person. You have to get lucky, and yeah. Uh, and I think that's all the special ones I could think of at the moment. But I'm pretty sure at the end you have to fight like the show master, who I guess runs the entire like Poke. I don't want to say. I almost said Poke Park. It's not technically Poke Park. It's like Poketopia or something. And yeah, which obviously he ran the entire like I guess stadiums. I guess you can say. And you basically beat him, which pretty much at the end there, I just kind of put my Mewtwo and Giratina on the team, and then like obviously just 4 other random Pokemon. But here's the thing too, the reason why I want to put all of them on a certain level is the fact that if one of your teammates is like normally the opponent's Pokemon, their level will be they'll be the max level of your like best Pokemon. So say we almost had like a whole team of 64s, but one of them was a 65. That like all of the opponent's Pokemon's levels would be 35. So that also kind of puts in a disadvantage. So obviously I knew what I was kind of getting myself into with just having Giratina and Mewtwo in is that all their Pokemon would be level 100 and only 2 of mine would be, and then the rest would be like around 64, which yeah, not really a good matchup. But obviously with Mewtwo and Giratina, I trained them to be strong. Literally, I think my Mewtwo stats, I'm pretty sure they're like almost maxed out in like every level. Like probably almost the highest they can be. Like my Mewtwo's just strong. That's probably one of my strongest ones out there, pretty much. And yeah, I guess that's everything I can really talk about with those games. Like, yeah, I mean, Pokemon Battle Revolution is like cool because I get to use like any Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon I could use, but the fact that I can't use all of them suck. Especially since I physically have to train up these certain Pokemon too, as well, and then transfer them over into the game, which is not really the best. Unlike with Stadium, like with the two Stadium games where you already have the rental Pokemon, so you can just play with those, or just use those Pokemon as they are. Even though their movesets aren't the greatest, at least you get to use them, so, But, yeah. I guess that's everything that I'd like to talk about with that. I kind of like how I started off this episode, like, saying stuff about my work and that I've been playing, like, Pokemon pretty much, and then it just kind of led into this episode as well. Even though I didn't technically even spin the wheel this episode either. I was like, you know what, I'm kind of starting to talk about Pokemon Battle Revolution. It was still on the wheel. Might as well. Like, I made sure to also take it off the wheel pretty much right before we start talking about it, so, yeah. Speaking of which, how many do we even have left on this wheel? I didn't update it since last time. It would be like 7, right? 7? I didn't even save it. Okay, podcast topics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. So within these 2 weeks, I definitely gotta find some time to actually add in more topics, because I guess I can tell you guys what I have on this wheel for at least a few of the future episodes, and then some other ones will be a mystery until next week. Or at least for you guys, it'll be a week. For me, it's going to be 2 weeks, because obviously I normally do this, like, I record 2 episodes every 2 weeks, pretty much. But yeah, the other ones I still have are the Stanley Parable, Minecraft, Bakugan for the Wii, the Until Dawn, the Quarry, and the Dark Pictures Anthology. That's all in one, by the way. FNAF, which is Five Nights at Freddy's, Amori, and How My Pokemon Journey Started, which, yeah, another Pokemon one. But yeah, I'll try to see if I can add more topics into this pretty soon, because obviously we're getting down the list. I only have like a couple weeks worth left of content I can make. Or who knows, maybe I might decide to take another break or something from podcasting for a little bit. Who knows? But at least for the next few weeks, for sure, we'll still definitely record some, or have some episodes for you guys, so, yeah. Anyways, that's going to cut it for this episode of Zawcasters. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. If you guys liked it, press the like button, or subscribe, do whatever, and I'll see you dudes in the next podcast. See you dudes next time.